How's it going, guys? It's been a while now. I'm back home and thought to make a video update before the weekly close. You know, we already had a massive expansion, so it's pretty obvious how the close is going to look like, even though if you might get some kind of a buyback going into the close here. But let's just go over the layout, okay? And we're going to do a very quick discussion on the price action. Then I want to go over the indicators here, just so you guys, my followers, are on board and understand sort of what we are looking at when we're posting these charts. So first off, I got 5 charts. I got the weekly and the daily. So the weekly and the daily will be sort of the drivers, the ones that you are looking at and the ones you understand. So just want to bring one very good example as something to watch. And if you look here on the weekly, we had this candle, we tried to move higher than the previous weekly, right? And then we started to trade below that on a weekly. Okay, that means that the weekly candle had a wick, okay, and it was red below. Now, if you look on the daily chart, that was a SFP, okay? This is a SFP signal, okay? And then at that point, when it's starting to trade below that, you can see that the candles are starting to turn into red, okay? That just means that you're having a crossover on the MACD, okay? It just means that these moving averages are crossing over, okay, and creating a bearish scenario. All right, so that means that when we are seeing that on a weekly and a daily, okay, then you can follow that on the small charts below. Okay, then we're having the 8-hour, 4-hour, and 1-hour, which are less significant, which just shows sort of the overall trend that we're seeing on the weekly and the daily. Okay, so you can also see how we shifted here after this week into red, and then we have the trend moving down now with the red candles, okay? And then we're having a small buy signal, but this is not a buy signal. The bomb there just means that the previous candle was a down candle, okay, and then the next one was an up candle closing above. So you had an engulfing candle within the last 50 candles, okay? That's sort of what that particular indicator is saying. So by itself, it doesn't mean anything, okay? So that's sort of the look. So the way you can use these kind of layouts is that you're having the larger part of it. You wanted to have it on a weekly, on a daily, so you keep that on track. And once you sort of getting some kind of a signal you want to trade, you can shift like this. Again, you can create these ones larger and start watching on the lower time frame if you see something of interest, okay? And when you're using this, what you're getting is a multi time frame view of price, okay? Because it's very easy to get very caught on the lower time frame and you lose track on the high time frame, okay? And that's the way you get trapped, because if you're using this as an example, the breakout we had here, okay, if you watch that on a lower time frame, it would look very good, right? And you're getting trapped, while on a weekly it actually looked bad as it was unfolding. But most of us, we are watching lower time frames, okay? So that's about it. So let's just go over a quick scan of what kind of levels we are going to watch here for Bitcoin, okay? So after having a kind of engulfing candle at the moment, I think it's kind of difficult. Obviously, we are just sort of creating this sort of a megaphone or just a simple channel, okay? So I'm not really certain, right? So if you get a buyback here and you start pressuring these highs, okay, then that would look for us to potentially do a breakup, right? And then you're having the other scenario of price, whatever it does, just starting to trend lower, okay, and create sort of a larger range and then move higher, okay? And then you're, of course, having the scenario of this consolidation, okay? So the consolidation sitting at the 40K, this is the key, absolute key level in general, okay? And then you're having a small level pocket of liquidity right above, okay? So those are sort of the levels. So if you're going to put a hot box just to make that easier for people to digest sort of what we are watching, we're having this larger consolidation. And we actually talked about this level for so many times, right? Because they're not going anywhere and anywhere. So we just have to understand that if price visits those levels, it's going to be a good buying opportunity. You know, that's simple, okay? No need to overcomplicate it. Consolidations is where we hold liquidity. Okay, so on a daily perspective, let's use the whole chart here. Just want to point out a few things. You can see how we're having the upside liquidity with this indicator just showing highs and lows. Okay, so these current highs, you can see above here, there will be a lot of liquidity, a lot of supply sitting here. So what happened now is you're having a top, second top, and now we actually had a third top. This is generally speaking, it's not a good idea, right? So we're having a lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay, we're having lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. So this can result in a lower low, okay? And if the supply gets too heavy, you can actually see a price coming back into this prior consolidation, just in terms of PA, right? And when I say in terms of price action, it just means that this is a very simple market structure. Okay, this is how the market structure looks like, and it happens quite frequently on all time frames. Okay, so it's nothing to do with what price will do. It's just that that's how it looks like if price would to revisit or sell off into these levels. Okay, and that's something to watch for on every time frame. It doesn't have to do with what we're seeing currently on price. It's just that we understand that there is a pocket of liquidity sitting there. So if we actually get an extension, right? And by extension, I mean if this is a supply and price extends, this is where price will extend to. Okay, that's how you want to understand price. Okay, then you're having the other scenario here that you're having a potential reversal formation, is that you're having these levels. Okay, and then you're having these ones, the up one. So if you're getting a low into that, even if it doesn't need to break it, just anywhere within this spectrum of PA, right? And then you take out, for example, this high, then this could symbolize that we're having a reversal in price. Okay, and what that really means is that you're having triple sort of bottom, Adam and Eve. Then this is whole a scenario of price going higher. Okay, so those are the two scenarios that we are watching on a daily. Okay, and remember that these takes times to unfold, so it can't happen within one day, right? So if you watch the price that we had previously, for something like this to happen, it should take multiple weeks. Okay, and if you understand that if this will take multiple weeks to occur, most likely, then you have plenty of time to get on board and understand sort of where you want to go. Okay, so when we have these sort of ideas now, or this thought process on a weekly and on a daily, it's much easier to understand sort of where we are willing to take trades, how long we are gonna keep them and whatnot, right? Because if you're doing a move against the trend, right, then you have to have less hold time than if you're going with the trend, right? So currently now, especially with current weekly close, I think, in my opinion, the trend is towards the downside. But that doesn't mean that we can have a retest, right? So it means that, of course, we can still have a bullish candle coming after this one. And we also have war lining up here. We having a lot of bad stuff. Mt. Gox, if you Arkham, I think Jump had some issues as well. And then we had Grayscale selling a lot of ETH the past days, right? So there's a lot of institutions and governments actually market selling at the chart, right? So we just have to be patient now and wait for the seasonality to kick in, and the seasonality is basically lining up within a bottom formation in September or October. Okay, so that's sort of what we're seeing with the charts. Or else we can take a look at some of these altcoins, but the altcoins just represent or showing what we're seeing on Bitcoin and these candles. Okay, so if you go to AVAX, I think this is the perfect example. If you go to AVAX on a weekly, okay, this is like a really bad look, right? So if you look here on a weekly basis, you can see that once you had that engulfing candle, I discussed this with my friend, didn't act on it. Instead, we tried to long. So it was a pretty bad play in my books. But regardless, right? So you had a potential level here from this SR point, okay? And then you had this massive bullish candle, which then price looked very good. And then this was then an engulfing candle, and from that engulfing candle you had the extension coming back down. So what this was, just a price moving into the liquidity sitting at this level, right? So the pocket of liquidity was this sort of consolidation. Price came back into that and start selling back down, right? So if you're going to fill some of this gap that we are watching, it means that price now probably is going to move. Let's see here. Most likely we already reacted to this price point, so we're going probably a bit deeper, probably around these levels. I think around the 20 mark, even possibly lower, but that will depend on Bitcoin. But the way price is looking now, it looks like we want to do an extension into these levels, okay, and then price will sort of hit the brakes, right, and then sort of move something like this. That's how I view it. You can see how it did, like straight at that point, at this point as well. So I think we need to see some kind of consolidation happening before price moving back up. Okay, that's sort of very simple terms, and you can see that actually on most of these charts. Okay, and that we're having this engulfing structure coming back into these levels, and it doesn't look good, right? So you need several weekly candles, in my opinion, to reverse. So it's probably a very bad time to do anything with altcoins. And you're seeing the same with Solana. It looked extremely strong, and then you had this massive sell-off. Same goes for Ethereum, right? It's difficult to be bullish after this candle because the way price was looking, of course we can be wrong, and I was wrong on the idea. I didn't think price was this bad because it seemed like we were doing something like this and then moving higher. Okay, that's sort of what I thought. I thought this was where we were. Okay, I thought this place was something like that. Again, that we move higher, but instead, when price broke out, instead of moving higher, it just engulfed to the downside. Okay, and since this happened, it does look to me that we're creating sort of this top formation, and price wants to extend lower. Okay, that's just how I view it. It's difficult to find any arguments against this. Okay, and then you see this is sort of the consolidation, the previous consolidation I'm looking at. So I think I think 2K is possible. For Ethereum, we don't need to go there, right? We can still reverse, we can do a SFP again here, and do something like this and move up. Of course, it's possible, but we have to take that once it occurs. So that's why we have to do these weekly updates, right? So every week we need to readjust bias, readjust the thought process, and trade sort of what we are seeing. Okay, and the best way to use to be on top of this game is actually to use indicators, in my opinion. But you have to be strict with it and understand sort of what you're looking at. So I'm gonna go over these indicators that I have on. Okay, and I think I'm very happy with them. I don't want to share the codes and everything, but I can do an explanation of it, and you can use them yourself. And I might start to share some of the links later, but I'm gonna explain what they are. And for those who are very interested, they can probably do it by themselves. Okay, so what this is that I put everything that I want, all the information that I want to have, I put them in one indicator panel. Okay, so each of these are different indicators. Okay, so instead of having 5 panels separate below, I have them in one single panel. Okay, so this is just a simple MACD. Okay, and I just drag it. You just drag it below, right? So it was in a panel of its own, and you just drag it below. Okay. The green and the red here is just RSI. When the RSI is below 30, it shows green. When the RSI is above 80 or 90, it shows red. Okay, so it just means that we're getting into extreme levels every time you see the red or the green popping. Okay, so that's one, right? So you're having RSI is the momentum of price, okay, and then you're having MACD, which is the average movement of price. So you're having two different information that you want, right? So what you want when it comes to signals is that you want as many of the signal to get them as once, so you can get confluence and take the trade. Because of course, you can be overbought or you can be oversold by price moving lower and higher. But when you're getting multiple of the signals, is usually a good one. Okay, so when the MACD goes very low to the extreme low point, while RSI is oversold, and then you're having a crossover. A crossover means that you're having two different EMAs crossing bullish, right? So it means that you're having two EMAs having a bullish or bearish crossover. When the bullish or bearish crossover occurs, it gives a signal on the candles, and then the candles turn green or red, right? So you're having bearish, when having a bullish crossover, you're getting green candles. When you're having bearish crossover, you're having red candles, okay? So that means that you want to use this in context of what you're seeing, right? You don't want the simply long green candles and short red candles, but it indicates a potential trend change. So using multiple of these together, okay? And then you're having SFP, which should be obvious to most people trading crypto. It's just that you're having a candle, price moves like this, right? And then it moves up, and instead of closing above, it closes below, okay? Like this, sort of a fuck you finger. So when the candle closes below there, it gives a signal and it just shows SFP, and then you're having the confirmation. This is from Lux Algo. This particular indicator, it's nothing special, it's very simple, but I like to keep it there because, if you're getting an SFP at a peak high with confluence, it's usually a very good sign of a larger trend change, okay? So then you're having these ones. Then we're having these larger green tops. These are price moving at the extreme from Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands is the same. It's just average price on two sides which are following, right? So price is following like this, okay? And when price is moving extreme, right? Extreme out too fast below these Bollinger Bands, it means the price has gone to the extreme levels too fast. It creates a signal, all right? So the next one then is the bomb and the hammer. Is just shows the previous 50 candles. If you're having a downtrend, okay, and then you're having a candle closing lower, and then you're having the next one closing higher, okay, that is sort of a engulfing pattern. When an engulfing pattern like this occur, it gives a signal, okay, and then usually that's a trend change, okay. So all of these together creates a buy signal. The more of them, the better. The higher the time frame is, the better, right? So if it's a high time frame signal, the signal lasts for much longer time, okay, but it comes it comes much rarely. So you can see here for a large buy signal, last time it happened was December 2018, okay. So that's 5 years, right? So it took 5 years to create a new buy signal on the weekly, okay? And we had that at the Pico bottom. So as price was moving lower, you can see that at this point we were getting the RSI, okay? We're getting extreme RSI. We made a lower low, but we didn't get an RSI symbol. The reason for that is because this is then divergence, okay? The divergence was greater than the extreme. That's why you don't get RSI signal. But at the bottom here, you can see that we're starting to get a crossover. So at this point right there, you're getting a weekly MACD crossover with extreme RSI. Also, you can see how we moved further away from the Bollinger Bands, okay? And then at the low point here, this is where you create, where we got the SFP. And as we're getting an SFP, we also got a bullish engulfing close, okay? So that means that you're having all the indicators at one point, right? So in a few, how many, but it took actually pretty long time, right? So it's from August all the way towards August to November. So we had within a 3 months period, you had all the signals coming in, okay? That marks the bottom, and then you're having a massive uptrend. at the top, what happened here at the top, you can see that we had for the first time we had a crossover right there, but you can clearly see that it was not as relevant. If I'm going to point this out for you, you can see this is where you had the crossover, but it didn't really cross, right? So it's a wrong signal, because if you look at the indicator below, it actually didn't cross. It did touch, but it didn't cross. So this should have been green, shouldn't have been a signal. Now, when you're getting to the top, you can see how the RSI painted this whole extreme, okay? It also had bearish divergence at the top, and then after the sell of the reversal of this candle, you can see we're having a MACD crossover, okay, creating now a potential high time frame top signal, okay, but these can go much longer, okay, but at this point you can clearly see that we're having sort of a similar structure as we did in the previous bear market. So if we're going to point this out for you, we had right there, okay, that was the SFP, and that was also the crossover. The same is what we are getting currently now at this given price point, okay? So we haven't really sold off. So if you're going looking at this PA again, it does seem kind of possible that we are going to see some kind of sell-off in towards the previous consolidation. The previous consolidation is much more extreme, in my opinion, right there. That would cause a sell-off for, that was 50%, this is 40%. So that would be very similar in terms of structure, okay? And then I think that would be sort of mark the bottom, in my opinion. So if you're going to use a fractal based on this, let's just use this one, price coming down. Let's use this one to get back up. It's never the same, but I just want to explain sort of the possibilities here that we can look for, okay? So if you're getting something like that, and then price starting to create sort of the next cycle, okay? So I think that would line up pretty much with, this is still August, I think, as we discussed previously, the bottom in October. For me, this will be sort of a perfect scenario, right? So it doesn't need to happen, and then you sort of getting something like this in terms of price action, right? It doesn't need to be that extreme, okay? So this is sort of the way I view price, okay? And if price would to come back down here, you can see that within these indicators right there, that means the price will come back down, okay? And then reset, potentially get a new crossover, and then move back into new extremes, right? A new extreme, create some divergence in towards mid 2025, and then maybe getting a larger correction back down again, okay? That's a sort of just a thesis, an idea that can happen, okay? So this is the way I view price. So let's go back to the main point here and just talk about these signals, right? So as we said, on a weekly, that's where you get the signals. Now on the daily is the next place, but the signals on a daily, the sell signals are not that important, as long as you need to have a confluence of everything. But even if you have the confluence of everything on a daily for selling, usually not the best case, in my opinion. But you can see here on when it comes to buying, it's very good, right? So you had the previous time here around the 26,000. If I'm showing you correctly right there, you can see that you had bullish divergence, you had extreme RSI, and you had a movement outside the Bollinger Bands. It gave us a signal, and you can see what kind of an uptrend you had. But at that point, you had the confluence, right? So if I bring this to you, and this was post signal here on was at this price point. Let me show you here so you understand the context, because it's the context that is important, right? So you're having a sell-off, right, in August, okay, in August, which is the seasonality, after having a weekly signal, okay, and then it gives a buy signal. So you have a weekly signal, and then into October, you're having a daily buy signal, okay? That means that that's usually a very good time to take the trade, okay? So that's decent. So we had something similar here, right? So even though you had a bearish signal, you had a bullish daily signal as well. From that daily bullish signal, we had a 30% drop, which we now engulfed. So we're having a daily signal, even though we're pretty high up. So this can yet be, so if we're starting to do a trend change here, meaning that if this is sort of a potential support and we're starting to find the bottom within this particular price point, okay, and then starting to move higher, this is absolutely possible. But then you need to look for a strong reversal that doesn't get sold down, right? If that were to happen, you would see that after a few candles, you would actually get a new bullish crossover as we're moving towards the new highs. You would see, because as the MACDs are flattening out, it takes less effort to do a bullish cross, okay, and the same goes here for the daily, okay. And that means that if that happens, you have to readjust again the idea. And if you look here below at this point now, you can see on lower time frame we are actually getting some bullish signals, right? So you're having, even though the weekly looks like complete crap at the moment, we're actually starting to get here on an 8-hour chart. We're having a buy signal. Okay, we don't have a MACD crossover yet, but we're having the green here Bollinger Bands are starting to move us. So we moved pretty extreme lower, and we had a price reversal. So the bomb there is actually just this last candle that is moving higher, because you're having more candles moving lower, okay, and then you're having now a currently 8-hour candle that is closing higher, right? So it's closing higher than the previous one. So if you can see that, it's engulfing the previous candle, which is creating this signal. If those gets confirmed, we can start look for potential scalps back up. So we understand from the term of price action, okay. So your price action, you're having an extension lower. If you're getting a bottom formation, okay, and price starting to move higher, what happens? We're closing the gap. Where is the gap? This is into these levels, okay. That means the price will then come back up, right? Come and try to close up this gap and see where we land. That's how the two ideas behind trading is, okay. This is the 8-hour. If you go to the 4-hour as well, we're getting a signal. We had a signal previously. That's the one I took yesterday that I took a loss on. It did look good, but we had 3 decent candles and then a complete rug. But still, if you look at the indicators, they are still pretty oversold. The MACD is flattening out, really wants to cross here, right? And then the 1 hour as well, is extreme. This on the 1 hour, it just shows divergence, right? Because it just means that price is extreme RSI, retest, extreme RSI, retest, extreme RSI, retest, extreme RSI, retest. That's what this indicator is showing, because without the context on the high time frame, it's not really relevant, right? Because you want the context from the high time frames to dictate your decision making on the lower time frame, right? So since we had a weekly, or from this we had a weekly, and this point a weekly signal, okay, you want to take short trades. But we had a daily buy signal. Since we had a daily buy signal, I was more aggressive with my long ideas, okay? So sometimes you get conflicted messages. Sometimes it will be easy, sometimes it will be wrong, or easy, sometimes difficult. But if you do get the sell-off, as I said, if you do at some point get a sell-off below here into some of these levels, then we know what to look for, okay? So regardless, you build a system around ideas of your own, and understand that what you're basically trading are trend changes, right? The only way to make money in trading is when you find a trend, right? So you want to be on the correct side of a trend, but price is not trending most of the year, right? Most of the time we are usually in consolidations, right? So we're having consolidations, we're having reversals, and then we're having trends. To make money, you want to catch a trend, right? So you need to stop losing money during consolidations and whatnot. And this is where the difficult part comes, because you need something to organize your thought process and the way you view price to come or to stay on the correct side of your trades, right? So the daily and the weekly are the ones that are going to show you the way, and then you use the lower time frames, right, to get there and then try to get on the trend early. Okay, so I think that's it for this time. Not gonna go over any more altcoins. Most of the altcoins looks pretty bad. So until we get a confirmed trend change on Bitcoin, we're just gonna keep it easy on them. Okay, guys, talk later. Peace out.